2009 UW Platteville, number 10, freshman, sophomore, level 1. This is a complicated problem for freshman, sophomore. You're going to have some skill with geometry and Pythagorean theorem. You can see the triangles there on the diagram. So, in the diagram, the circle centered at the O has a radius of 1, and the circle centered at P has a radius of 2. If line N is tangent to both circles, the distance from O to P is 6. Compute the length of AB. Alright, so I blew up a picture of this so we can start labeling, because that's going to be the key. And on the test or on the notes, you got to find a place to do this. So this is 1. It said this is 2. Alright, to start with, I'm going to call this distance X. I'm going to call this distance Y, but we're going to quickly jump to something else. And I know for a fact that X plus Y equals 6. Because they gave us that, alright? So that's one of the equations I have to relate those two. And it doesn't want that, it wants the length of AB. Alright? So I have X plus Y equals 6, and maybe I keep that here. And if I look here then, the thing you got to catch, and if you're not sure what to do on a math team problem, guess. But when you look here, if you've had geometry, you know that when there's a tangent line, the radius is always perpendicular to the tangent line. So I immediately know those two are 90 degrees. And likewise, I know that these two angles, because they're vertical angles, are congruent also. If you have angle-angle, alright, we know we have angle-angle-angle, so we have two similar triangles. OA M and MBP. Those are two similar triangles. So their ratios have to be the same. And you immediately see, you know some numbers. You know 1 and 2 here. And what you really want to find is the distance here of, I'll call it C, little c, and this distance here, little d. Alright, we're going to have to find little c and little d and get that sum of those two to find the final answer. Now before I muck it up with C and D, I'm going to start by finding x and y. So I know my 1 over x is equal to 2 over y. If I cross multiply, I see y is equivalent to 2x. And some of you might have saw that immediately. So I'll use that equation coupled along with the other one that I had over here. Use substitution, alright? And I get what? X plus 2x equals 6. I get 3x equals 6. I get x is 2. Immediately, I can find then that y is 4. That's awesome. So now I know this is 2, and this is 4. And I'm going to scratch those variables out right now. I'm going to put C and D here, okay? So now I have Pythagorean theorem. If you don't see it, I'm going to redraw the triangle so you do. 1C2, triangle over here, and I'll try to keep it a little, I'm going to translate it and mirror it up so we can see it the other way. 2D4. The hypotenuses are there. Be careful that you don't miss that. Alright, so now I got to figure out C and D. 2 squared equals 1 squared plus C squared. This is a 30, 60, 90. But at this point, that's not that important. So I get C squared equals 3. I get square root of 3 for C. And two ways to do this. You should know that the ratio is 2 to 1. But you can also do Pythagorean theorem the way we were doing it. Often students get locked into a way. I think you just got to finish. Alright? You get 12 equals D squared. You get the square root of 12 equals D. Square root of 4, square root of 3. And this is where radicals from Algebra 1 really stand up and say, hey, alright, there's C and D. So now we just got to add them. 1 square root of 3 plus 2 square roots of 3. The answer to number 10 is 3 square roots of 3. Again, this is a pretty complicated problem. You have to use a lot of knowledge. This would be one you'd want to do last and just take a good guess at. If there are circle problems, keep working on them.